Welcome to Becoming an Elite Financial Advisor with Sten Morgan, where we help financial professionals like you recognize and reach your potential faster. Even if this is your first time listening to our show, you know that we want to help you reach your potential faster. But how do you do that? How do you accelerate your learning and take actions that result in your business growing instead of wandering from podcast episode to podcast episode or online program to online program? Well, in this episode, Sten and I discuss the elite path of learning and why we believe it also includes you attending our live event, How to Charge for Your Advice, live in January 2023. If you'd like to be the first to know when we open registration for that event, go to stenmorgan.com/howtolive. That's stenmorgan.com/howtolive. So, how do you reach your potential faster? Let's find out. Here's Sten Morgan.
Welcome back to the podcast, Becoming an Elite Financial Advisor. I'm excited for our topic today. We get questions a lot from advisors about how are we doing what we're doing and the time frame we're doing it. Mm-hmm. I think at times there's kind of the head trash of, well, that's just a different kind of advisor that I'm not. What I'm thankful for is I've been exposed to a lot of advisors, and I've been able to see that there's a lot of elite advisors that all have different stories, different backgrounds, different business models, that like it wasn't predestined for them. Mm-hmm. That there is a path to learn quicker, to apply faster, and get to a goal in a period of time where most people are going to turn their head and be like, well, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And today I want to talk about like, what is the elite path to learning?
Yeah. I think about, I see that I think I was watching something the other day about the triathletes, and, there's just a variety of body types and, there's just backgrounds and, they all had two parents. No, they didn't. Yeah. Oh, they're all men. No, they're not. You know, they're all over 30. No, they're not. Right. But they're all performing at an elite level. And that's what we're talking about. And you've spoken with enough advisors. We coach enough advisors. We've had different advisors. And I will say this, just for those of you who are listening, and it's, we have conversations with advisors all around the country every week. Mm-hmm. And I let them finish when they say this, but they won't always. Many of them will begin with, well, my situation's unique.
Yeah.
And I would say your situation is unique. I let them finish, and I'll say your situation's unique because it's yours and you're unique. Mm-hmm. But really, your situation's not unique.
Yeah.
There's not that much variety in the system.
Yeah. Can we say it's nuanced?
Yeah, maybe it's nuanced.
Yeah, it's all going to be different.
Yeah, how you got there. But the great news is, and this is one of the reasons that I love our network and I love our people and I love the way that we're trying to teach those who are, we're humbled to have you learn from us, is that there's some patterns and we want to teach you the patterns, mm-hmm. but you don't have to be a 6'2" guy from the West Coast to make it.
Yep.
Right. All right, so
6'3".
6'3"
and a half.
So I was just waiting.
6'4" on my college basketball roster.
I was just waiting. Yeah, 6'6" on the basketball roster. Yeah. So we do want to talk about how do you get ahead faster? How do you what are the elite things you can do, no matter where you are, how long you've been in the business? And so one of the first things that, as we were talking about this, you said, Andy, you have to be looking for and be willing to be proven wrong. Mm-hmm. I think that is, that's just not how most people wake up.
That's right.
Every day. So what is it about looking to be proven wrong? Why is that part of an elite path to getting better?
I think like anything, depending on what spin you put on that, one is that path is going to call into question my value as a person or how good I am as an advisor. If somebody tries to disprove something I'm doing, my immediate gut is going to be to push back and say, well, you don't understand, or I've already tried that. And I hear that from business owners all the time that I consult. It's like, oh, well, you don't, have you ever run a cabinet company? I'm like, no, but you don't know how to run one either. Just because you are in it doing it and it's not going well, let's not defend something that's average.
Yeah.
And so as I've spoken with thousands of advisors now and hear that objection, some have gotten to the point where they can object and then hear themselves objecting and be like, okay, I'm open to any advice. If it's going to get me where I want to go faster, help my business, help my clients, help my family, I'm going to lay down anything I think is the right approach because I'm open to being wrong. And so the way I approach that is the illustration of draw a circle that represents all the knowledge in the financial universe. to be the top advisor in the world, this is all the information you need to have. And then draw a circle within that circle of how much information you think you have now.
So the full context of, and I remember this as a kid growing up in Indianapolis, Indiana, the downtown library is this beautiful, beautiful building. And I would go in, it had the big columns out front.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Just gorgeous building. And I remember going like, oh my gosh, how much knowledge is in this? And then I would like go get one book and like not be like finish it and be like, well, and I love your illustration, and you do this with audiences you speak with live. And I want to ask you, so the circle inside of, right? So even as a young child, I recognized that my circle inside of the bigger circle was very small.
That's right.
Right. So what do you do when someone draws too big of a circle? What's going on there?
I've yet to be in a situation where the circle within the circle was so big that they were claiming to just have known it all.
Okay, that's good.
It varies in size. I mean, it does sell something. Like if you're like, hey, I think know this much. Well, you better have a business that's 10 times the size of mine, and you better be crushing it if your circle's that big. Most advisors, though, draw a fairly small circle.
Okay.
The first step of that exercise is to recognize there's a lot I don't know. Okay, well, maybe you're still comfortable. The next step of that exercise is imagine over here, away from the circle you drew about yourself, is an idea that would triple the size of your business. And it doesn't mean it's going to triple the size of your business because you have to work 3 times as much. What if it triples the size of your business and you actually work less and you help more people? Would you be receptive to that idea?
Yeah.
And most people are like, well, that'd be great. Well, now I'm telling you to go find that idea. Like some advisors, and this was my path, like I first had to learn to receive constructive feedback without it just triggering me. I wasn't good at that naturally. The black belt in that is where now I'm pursuing new information all the time.
Yeah.
And when I find out that I was wrong, it's less like, oh, I'm going to defend that, more like, great. Like I'm glad I stopped doing the wrong thing faster.
Yeah.
And I think if we can adopt that mindset, and that could be for you where you're actually doing that circle exercise every day to remind yourself that, you're human. And it's like that Roman general thing that I told you about, where somebody would stand behind the Roman generals and remind them that you are human.
Yeah,
like
because everyone's worshiping them.
Yeah.
And that's where people get in trouble, is when they lose connection with the truth that like, you don't know everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where literally you see people in business, in politics, in sports, in entertainment.
Yep.
They just get in trouble because they forget that they don't know everything.
That's right.
Right. That's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah. The things we should defend, this is a list we can do, an open mindset, a growth mindset, humility. Like let's defend those things. Let's not defend your workflow process that could be better.
Or your product that you think is the best. And
your product, or the way you talk to clients or serve them. Like what if there's a better way? Like that's not the thing. Yeah. That's not the hill to die on. And so advisors that thrive in our environment, because it's high bar, we push people to do uncomfortable things, we're not average, we try to be elite, are those that adopt this mindset of like, I'm open to being proven wrong. I'm not going to maybe always go easy.
Right.
Like I might push back sometimes, but I'm open to it.
Let's talk about that disagreeing or finding people that sort of tell you you're wrong. Okay. Or just push you. I guess I'm trying to soften it. No, they're just saying like, I disagree. Okay. That I have found this to be true, that your best friends tell you the most truth.
Mm-hmm.
Not the things you like to hear, not they agree with you, but they just tell you the truth. And sometimes that truth is, hey, you're being a jerk.
Yeah.
Or, hey, like, do you know how you're coming off right now? Or hey, hey, you're being too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you need to stop and celebrate that. Like truth is not always a punch in the face.
That's right.
Right. And you're talking down on someone, but truth is just things that other people aren't usually great at sometimes seeing for themselves. So when it comes to the elite path of getting better, this is something else that, and I had a conversation with an advisor late last week that was saying, I'm pretty young. Everybody in my office I used to ask advice to, like they helped me. And now I've sort of outpaced them, and I'm looking for other people to get advice from because there's no more iron sharpening iron.
Yep.
So my question for you is, how do you find and navigate finding people that will push you instead of go, yeah, man, absolutely, I agree with that. Oh, you agree with that? This is a fun conversation. Let's just agree with each other,
Yep. For me, the idea, and I would say what you're saying is like seeking discomfort. Like you have to realize that hard things are good things. Being willing to open yourself up to feedback from people. I think you have to be careful of who that is. Like I think you need to be discerning and like, has this person been there and done that? Do they have some credibility? the core of who I am, like I would not take advice from somebody about building a business that has never built a business. They might have cool content and promote it, but just the core of me is like, I need to know that you've done this thing before I'll kind of open myself up to be criticized or coached. So when it comes to finding those people, I think look for a level of accomplishment or consistency.
Can I widen that a little bit though? Because I think it's healthy. Like, because we know some people that they weren't the man or the woman in the business, but they were part of. They weren't the face. Like people go, "Who's that?" And you're oh, they were a really important part of
the people that needed to know them. Oh,
right? Yeah. So the other part is not that they were the owner necessarily.
That's right.
That's yes, definitely.
Yep.
But you and I both know people. It's like that was
they get stuff done.
That was the Alfred in the Batcave.
That's right.
That really, Bruce Wayne really owes it all to Alfred. Let's just be honest, right? So that's the other part is this, you have to look for people that have a track record of success. And I think the challenge is, for a certain amount of dollars, you can build a landing page that makes it look like, you're successful.
That's right.
Right.
And part of the reason, like our heart behind the mastermind is now getting feedback from people, and we're going to cultivate that group for other people. Because short of having somebody else go out there and vet that for you and invite you to it, you're usually going to do it with just the people that are around you.
Yeah.
You might run into some people at a conference, and they'll challenge you a little bit, hopefully, if there's any new ideas there. Like study groups, masterminds, like very valuable, as long as you're discerning about who are these people. Like, are they going to lift me up? Or are they going to challenge me? That's the core of it, is inviting those people in and giving them permission to that. But make sure that what they're bringing to the table is something different.
It's a really difficult realization, just to be frank, boy, the people that are just near me. I mean, I love this area. I love that we live in an area that I think is entrepreneurial and is creative. People are generally pretty darn kind around here, versus like people being rude or lazy or sort of, just happy they work for XY company or whatever. But it can be a very difficult realization, Stan, when you kind of take inventory and you're like, man, I'm the sum of the people around me, and I need to choose different people. It doesn't mean that I don't love those people and they're not good people and that Jesus loves them, but does that mean that those are the people that are going to help you get to where you want to be? And often it's not.
Yeah, and in reality, and I've learned this a lot over the last few years, is I would even say Legacy early on struggled with, I think, the team members feeling like they could give me feedback. For a long time, it was just like, okay, if Sten says that, let's do it. And even some friendships, what it took first was me kind of coming up with something and being vulnerable to be like, man, I'm just struggling today.
Yeah.
You do that a lot of times, and I have a few friendships like this that I had to breach it for them to come back. And so you may be thinking about, like, I have good business owners around me and other advisors I talk to, but we haven't broken through that. Everybody's just here to have a good time and pat each other on the back and say, keep trying. You may have to say, hey, I'm really struggling. I don't feel like I'm getting enough feedback. I want to open myself up for this. And please do not do me the disservice of holding back. And then the next person asks for it. And it'd be amazing. Sports teams, I think, do this. When you can see them at times, it's like something changed in the locker room. Things just got real. And I think you need to have relationships when you're learning where you're like, let's keep it real and challenge me and push me. And again, that's hard to do, but you need to be intentional with it.
One of the other things that people do to go from average to elite is, and this is a habit they form. This is a muscle they exercise often, which is they iterate fast. Another way of saying they fail fast.
That's right.
That's sort of cliche. Put it on a pillow, put it on a T-shirt, put it on a coffee mug. What does that really look like? How do you do that without, losing your house?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think iterate fast has to be big and risky. I think like we do it with marketing material in-house. It's like, well, let's get something on paper and start working with it. But we don't hold on to the first idea. Like we're willing for something to be better. And therefore you can get to version 10 much faster. Whereas, and this is something we've struggled with the Legacy too, like one of our team members put something together and they've put so much time into it. And it's like, we're not attacking you.
Right.
We're just saying, hey, are you open to other feedback for this to be better?
Yeah.
And our environment has slowly gotten to the point where it's like, lead with encouragement. Hey, thank you for spending all the time on this. This is great. But hey, I think if we do this, I've learned this might be more impactful.
And that's a sunk cost thing. There's two things. You're right. One of them is, I am my work. Well, no, you're not. Relax. Take it easy. You're not that pamphlet, webpage, cover letter or whatever it is. You're not that financial plan. It's like, all right, let's step back and let's make this better. You know what I mean? We're not saying let's make you better, right?
That's right.
It's let's make the but there's that sunk cost as well of, so one, don't take it personally, but two, it's like, listen, don't stick with it just because it took a long time to get to that version.
Yeah.
Right. Like, be willing to change it. That's
right.
okay.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, you I think told me this years ago. It's like, don't be afraid to kill an idea, because if it's really good, it'll come back to life.
Yeah.
Like, like, move on, try it. Like, don't sit there and die on a hill for something if there's not enough adoption, or if it's not working. Because at the end of the day, and this is something we stress at Legacy now, results mean impact. So really all that matters is results. Like, I don't care what the marketing piece looks like. If results come from it, I'm not going to give you a hard time. But if you spend a month on that and it drove nothing, and there's no opens, no clicks, like...
Yeah, but I spent a month on it. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And so hopefully as a team, and this is an advisor for your business, if something is going to help you get better results, invest in it.
Yeah.
Even if it seems hard, even if it seems intense, if it'll get you there in a year where it would have taken you 10, like, how valuable is that really?
9 years.
Oh yeah.
It's 9
times
years.
What? Yeah. I mean, the numbers get so big that you will look back and say, man, how did those people get over there? Well, it's the Kitsis iceberg thing he threw up the other day. It's like, here's all the stuff you don't see.
Yeah.
And they are pursuing feedback. They are studying the hard way. They're not reading little pamphlets and just tweaking their process. They're like, I'm willing to break this thing down and rebuild it.
Yeah.
Even though it just took me 10 years to build it, if the outcome is better.
Yeah. If year 11 makes it twice as good.
Yep.
Right. So as we apply the how do you get better? How do you go and accelerate your learning? How do you not just do incremental improvement, but how do you...
Which is really box checking improvement. It's like, I know I should be doing something, so I'm going to do a little thing here and there. And, that doesn't turn heads.
Yeah. How do you become part of the hockey stick growth, right?
Yep.
You're really good at reminding me of that. And so what I want to talk about now is why we are hosting an event in January 2023, and it's in person.
Yep.
And we are inviting people to come to our office outside of Nashville and spend a couple days with us, because we think that this is the best way to go from average to elite.
Yep.
So, number one, we're doing it, because we think that getting out of where you are, wherever you are right now, is healthy. Mm-hmm. There's a great artist named Austin Kleon. He's also a writer, but he has this graph, and it's literally just a 45-degree angle, but it's basically like the further you go from home, the more your creativity and your sort of mind opens up. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be true. Literally, just driving away from where I live, my brain just starts to relax, and sort of just things come in, right?
Yep.
And you get out of that day-to-day distraction and flow, which can be really, really healthy. The other reason we want to do a live event is that we have a community of people. Many of our people that are in our EAN, network will be there, but also we have other people that reach out to us through the podcast or just reach out to us via email that will be there. We are really proud and we love being around like-minded advisors. Mm-hmm. And the last part, which frankly, if you don't have this right, then just cancel it, is we're really, really confident in our content. We've really honed in the last few years our process, our framework for teaching people how to go from I don't do planning to I'm going to do planning successfully, or I'm doing planning, but I haven't really leaned into it, or my systems aren't as tight as they should be. Yep. So tell me what it looks like to be a part of an event. How does that and why are you excited about us helping people go that elite path of an event?
Well, I'm thankful that we have data. Close to 140 advisors have taken the planning course. Mm-hmm. How do I charge for my advice? The thing that most of us give away for free that we don't see much value in, because the hope is to sell a product. So we're willing to give our weekends away, do dinners, all these things, spend all this money in the hope of selling something.
Kill a lot of trees, print off a lot of reports.
A lot of illustrations, like adopting the mindset of like, no, my time and ideas are valuable, even if they never buy anything from me, which most likely they will do business if you want them to.
Right.
And every one of those people has more than paid for the course while taking the course.
Yeah.
Like we have the data that supports you. Your fees go from 0 to 3,500 on average. Your fees, if they were at 3, they go to 6. Like,
right.
So for us now, that the moral obligation is to say, well, let's get more people to understand this, the right people that want to do it and commit to it. And so if you are in person with us, our team, learning our processes, the way we prospect to clients, the way we whiteboard to clients, the way we communicate our ideas, and our team's average fee is $10,000 per client, and you're saying that sounds crazy, Well, let us teach you firsthand how to do it.
Right.
And there's nothing special about us. It's not that, in Nashville, there happens to be just the right amount of clients that only Sten will work with that are consulting clients and they're nowhere else. No, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And the more advisors that say, I believe in that, just teach me to know my ideas are valuable, and then how do I onboard people? How do I communicate the value? I mean, it'll transform your business.
Yeah. We do have the data to back that up. And to be frank, like, it is easier to just sell online programs. Mm-hmm. It is. But I think about the last time we had a part of our community here. I miss it, man. It's a lot of fun. And I would say it's, if you really want to have an impact, I was speaking to a gentleman in Texas last week, and he said, man, the program's been great. I was talking to a chapter president about having you guys, for FPA to have you guys come speak, have Sten come speak, I should say. And I want to come hang out with you guys. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, we're going to do that. He's like, oh, great, cool, right?
Yeah.
We've had others, which we're actually going to talk about in our next episode, of advisors who are like, hey, can we shadow you? Mm-hmm. And the answer is, yeah, you can in January.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
In January. And it's going to be way more effective than just following Sten to the copy machine and back, right? But we are very confident, as Sten said, in that this works, that your planning fee will go from zero to, I think the average of the first time fee is around $3,300 or $3,500, and then your average planning fee goes up at least $2,000 if you're already charging for planning.
Some plans, that's right. And for me, I want to challenge. If you're listening to this podcast, you're looking for ideas, you're open to change. Awesome. What I want to challenge you with is that there's a more intensive path you can look into.
Yeah, absolutely.
That might be, our live event. I hope it is. It's going to be amazing. Spaces are going to be limited, so we'll kind of push that information out there to you guys. But it'll change your business. It'll change the way you talk to clients, the way you communicate ideas. Like you'll never be the same after that event. But there's also other stuff. If it's a mastermind, if it's something like, I challenge you to sit down in a quiet office with a notepad and say, what am I doing now to change my business and the way I think about stuff? And it shouldn't be the occasional podcast and a couple books. That's good. I do that stuff too. But once a quarter, I throw something in there that has the possibility of shaking my mindset.
Yeah.
Like, make me question everything I thought I knew.
Yeah. Because
that's the level, that's the stuff that you go from 1 to 10 with.
Yeah. And now listen, I appreciate the amount of downloads we have, but if the only thing you're really doing to shape your thinking is listening to us, I mean, we care about you enough to say that's just not enough. Mm-hmm. You have to do something to interrupt the patterns in your life. And if it starts with us, that's great. But knowledge it's not power.
That's right.
Applied knowledge is power, right? Knowing that, I was actually talking to one of my baseball players yesterday via text because they had pitched the day before. And I said, what are you doing to take care of your arm today? Oh, usually I take a cold shower. And I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you some facts about recovery so it's like they're like, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Like they had the knowledge, but they weren't doing it. Right.
That's good. Yeah.
So you have to, now, like if you're hearing us, if you're watching us on YouTube, that you need to shake up your system sometimes. Yeah. That's the elite path. And we want to be a part of that, whether it's us or someone else, but we want to, and we firmly believe in this process. We know that it pays for itself very quickly. It's helped a lot of advisors who have been in the business for 18 months or 18 years.
Yep. And that's the challenge, and you need to be ready for that. As soon as you realize there's a better way, if you're an advisor giving away all your time for free, and I show you that you can get paid, that half the meetings you have that you give away for free, somebody will pay you for that time if you communicate it well, now you got to do something about it. Like it would be hard to sit on that information and not act. So I would say lean into discomfort, learn new things, but my hope is you're ready to do something with it.
Well, as I mentioned, we love that you listen to the show, but we know that learning isn't what changes us. Applying what we learn is what changes us. Seeking discomfort changes us. Investing in ourselves changes us. So we hope you'll join us in January of 2023 at our offices just south of Nashville, Tennessee. To be the first to know when registration opens, visit stenmorgan.com/howtolive. That's stenmorgan.com/howtolive. You can also find that link in our show notes of whatever app you're using to listen to our show today. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time.